Thanks everybody for coming from all across the city. It's really amazing that we have representation from all 5 boroughs' community boards. So thanks for Staten Island, Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan for coming and representing. We're really are doing this event for you, so it's an honor to have representation from all 5 boroughs. And today you're going to hear from 2 great programs that one who has already worked across the city, and 2 who's just beginning to work across the city. So you're going to hear from the Fund for the City of New York's Community Planning Fellows, and then you're also going to hear about BetaNYC's Civic Innovation Lab and Fellows Program. Both of us are fiscally sponsored. We're both partner projects of the Fund for the City of New York. So our mission is effectively to figure out how to support and improve community board operations through a number of different tools. We're very fortunate, BetaNYC is very fortunate to be housed here in the Manhattan Borough President's Office. We got started just 3 years ago to start thinking about how do we use digital tools, web tools, open data, and we'll talk about that a little bit later and how to use that for community boards. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask for Jessica Gale's Chief of Staff to say a few words. You want to come up here so that way?
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, welcome everyone. I am Jessica Mates. I'm the Chief of Staff here at the Manhattan Borough President's Office, and I want to welcome everybody to our office and to this presentation today. I'm very excited about it. We have worked with BetaNYC now for a while. They have become part of the Manhattan Borough President's Office family. And like all families, we had issues that we had to work out at the beginning. We had to figure out with BetaNYC, you know, what are you doing, why, when, where, all those things that we do in families. And I have to say that it's a relationship that's evolved over the years, and it has become a relationship that has become incredibly important to this office, and I think to community boards and to the city of New York. It's a relationship I've come to rely on a lot. Noel and the BetaNYC crew, Emily, Lindsay, other people here, have really worked hard to understand what's going on in communities, what's the structure of community boards, what are things that are useful, what could be helpful, and what's helpful in helping to promote our communities and actually make our communities, you know, better and more livable places. And, you know, a series of, you know, from boardstat to a series of other tools that they are developing and continue to develop, to serving as a resource on a whole series of different issues. I have to say that they're really an invaluable resource. People who have worked with BetaNYC know this already, and people who haven't or have only just started to, I really encourage you to forge that relationship, because it's really important and useful. And you know, Gail Brewer is very much a proponent of data and open data. That's what she did when she was in the council. She continues, and you know, but data is only useful when we use it, and we use it well, and we use it in a way that everyone can manipulate it and can help and can use it to help their work. So I want to thank BetaNYC for all the amazing work that you've done. And what we're about to see. Similarly, the fellows, the planning fellows, I know also have worked so hard with community boards to figure out really what the needs are, and there is a huge need for planning fellows, and when we know that across the board, we want to really thank the Fund for the City of New York for sponsoring these projects, and you know, always working to increase the livability of New York City in general. Our office is really supportive of this, and I also really want to thank the planning fellows and the tech fellows who are here today. We really support young people learning at the youngest age possible all the things that you need to learn to launch really successful careers and to give back to the city. And I've been so amazingly impressed. We have a lot of interns here today. I want to welcome all of our wonderful Manhattan Borough President interns who are here today, and I want to especially thank the fellows for presenting today and for doing such terrific work. And I hope everyone will, you know, not just, you know, watch the presentation and learn from it, but really ask some questions so that you can figure out how this can best help you in the work that you do in your community boards or in your communities. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Noel, and thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
So one of our goals is to find out who's in the room. We heard that there's five borough community boards. We've got some interns. So we're going to do a real quick popcorn. We're going to try to do this within just 3 minutes. So let's have some fun here. I'm going to toss this over to Michael. So your name and the organization that you're with.
Michael Levine, Fund for the City of New York Community Planning Fellowship Program.
Sean Campbell, District Manager, Community Board 14, Brooklyn.
Eddie Mark, Community Board 13, Brooklyn.
Nelson Rama, Chair, Community Board 11, Manhattan.
Roberta Seamer, Chair, Community Board 7, Manhattan.
Shatsik Mitchell, Community Board 10. Will Brento, Community Board 8, Manhattan.
Jesus Bettis, District Manager, Community Board 6, Manhattan.
Lucia Reynolds, Community Board 1, Manhattan.
Angel Muscane, District Manager, Community Board 11, Manhattan.
Caroline Chish, Community Board 2, Brooklyn.
Melanie Grant, Community Board 8, Brooklyn.
Lois Last, NYC Information Technology and Telecommunications, do it.
Don Sunderland, Deputy Commissioner, Enterprise Architecture, do it.
Kelly McCaffrey, UX Developer, do it. Adrian Schmuker, Mayor's Office of Data Analytics.
Asher Ross, Mayor's Community Affairs Unit.
I'm going to try to get this little cluster back here that's hiding behind the pillar.
Loud.
Loud.
Josephine Beckman, Community Board 10, Brooklyn, District Manager. Marty Elias Cobbin, District Manager, Community Board 11, Brooklyn. Stacey Gardner, Director of External Affairs for Do It.
I'm Fauna, I'm a BetaNYC intern.
My name is Sohail. I'm a graduate student of architecture working on data. Community Board 5, please. Cameron Chu, Small Business Manhattan Board President's Office intern.
Julian Friesauer, same as
Elaine Kim, Council Member for your Office.
Josh Thompson, Community Board 2, Manhattan.
Nancy Ferrer, Manhattan Borough President's House.
Natalie Espina, Manhattan Borough President's Office.
Ken Miles, Community Board 9 member. Jay Lasky, Council Member Keith Power's office.
Carly Wine, Bronx Community Board 6.
Rahul Jadeja, Microsoft City.
Vanessa Ortiz, Microsoft.
Patrick Joseph, Manhattan Borough President's office. Paul Noble, Manhattan Borough President's office.
Andrew Chang, same as last year.
John,
John Paul Farmer, Microsoft Cities.
in the back.
Councilmember Protection's Office.
Zachary Beer, same as Julia.
Greg Slade, Manhattan Borough President's office.
Jacob Gross, Manhattan Borough President Office in
William Bao, same as that last time.
Megan Flynn, Council Member Medgar's Office. Carolyn Haggerty, OD Community Board 6. Brianna Blair, Climate Resiliency Intern.
Devon True, Community Board 1, Manhattan.
Community Board 2, Staten Island, Deborah Derrico, District Manager.
Lester Siegel, Community Board Unit at OMB.
Rosalind Hall at St. Buster at OMB, Exploration.
Lester Barrett, former BetaNYC.
Gethsemane Claret, Land Use Intern for Manhattan Borough President.
Elif Andre, Manhattan Borough President,
Let me go back to you.
Bill Oster, Manhattan Borough President's Office Intern. President's Office Intern. Isabella Greco, MBPO and BetaNYC Intern. Maria Ardonia, MBPO Intern.
Ramesh Bahari, and BetaNYC intern.
Susie Jack, their BetaNYC Intern.
Emily Goldman, BetaNYC and the Civic Innovation Fellowship Program.
Lindsay Poirier at BetaNYC.
Great, thank you. I also have to give some immense love to Lindsay and Emily for helping put all of these slides and all of these presentations over the last 2 to 3 days. We had a very late night putting together some of these tools, so thank you, both of you, for all the hard work that you've done over the last week. So great. So now I want to talk about more or less the elders in the room. The Fund for the City of New York's Community Planning Fellows Program. As Jessica indicated, BetaNYC started this relationship based upon a desire that Gail had really around mimicking this Community Planning Fellows and making sure that there was kind of like this framework of support for Manhattan community boards. Though we very quickly understood there was no way that we could match the quality of talent that the Community Planning Fellows program recruits and essentially deploys over the year. And so it's a real honor to essentially have our elder, Michael Levine, who's been running this program and more or less guiding the path of how community boards can be using data, GIS, surveys to improve community board operations. And so it's a great honor to have his wisdom here in this room, and I'm now going to ask him to share his wisdom with you.
And
You want
the clicker, right?
There
Thank
you go.
So as Noel has said, and thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, and I hope I can follow true to what Noel said. I am the elder in the room given my position in life as an elder statesman, and elder with the program, the Fund for the City of New York, which is now entering its 10th year. Many of you in the room right now know this program. I know we have many community board representatives present here today, and I'm so delighted that many of you have participated in the program in the past. So what you're going to hear is things that you know about the fund program. I'm going to summarize it for you again, and I'm going to summarize the nature of the Fund for the City of New York Community Planning Fellowship Program for those of you who are not familiar with it. Everything I will show you on a few slides has been condensed on a one-page, double-sided description that the staff here, Emily and Noel, worked on, so you can take a copy. It's on the table outside if you'd like, if you haven't already taken a copy, and have a copy for yourself so you will know everything I have spoken about today. So let me talk real quick about the Fund for the City of New York. The program is a project of the Fund for the City of New York, which places urban planning graduate students in community board offices throughout the city. We take our students from Hunter College, Pratt Institute, Columbia University, New York University, and the New School. We have students in urban planning, architecture, policy, and other related fields, and we try to get second-year students who have had some experience as learning a lot about city planning to come to work for you in the community board offices. The fellows will work for you in your community board offices on projects that you have identified as priorities for you, and we try to match your needs, your requirements, the projects that you need, and the skills that you told us you would like to see with the skills that the fellows bring with them. Can I ask for a quick show of hands in the room so we can all see? And I know I have one or two right here at the table. Who are the district managers and other community board representatives who have had fellows from the fund project reporting to you? Quite a few in the room. I believe it. Thank you very much. I know it's been successful. And let me point out that sitting diagonally opposite from me is a graduate of the program. And I forgot, Lucian Reynolds, what year did you graduate?
2011.
What was that?
2011?
2011, and Lucian is now the district manager of Community Board 1. And we also had 4 fellows who graduated from the program, work for the Manhattan Borough President as well, who have all gone on to other positions. So the fellowship program has worked very well to prepare graduate urban planning and architecture and policy students for a career in urban planning and government-related activities. And we hope that you from the community boards will continue to be a part of that program. And we know that the Brooklyn Borough President, the Brooklyn district managers will be participating again in the coming year. We look forward to seeing you in the program. The project includes seminars as well. We invite folks from other city agencies to come to talk to our fellows who are not only working in the community board offices, but attend meetings at the Fund for the City of New York, where I invite representatives of the Borough President's Office, the City Planning Commission, other agencies to talk about uniform land use review, environmental review, population projection, demographic information, to give them as well-rounded and experienced as possible. So they get to work in the community board and they get to learn from city agencies. We give them a very well-rounded experience in the second year of their graduate program. Most of our students are second year. Occasionally we take a first-year student, and some even come back for a second year and request to be part of the program for a second year. Since its inception, I'm pleased to say, as of this year, we will have processed 140 community planning fellows through this program and through so many of the district managers and community board offices throughout the city. Again, it's been extremely successful, and we hope as many of you as possible will participate. We've had fellows in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, the Brooklyn Borough President. The only borough we have not yet penetrated is Staten Island. And I do understand we have a representative of Staten Island too here. So I hope the representative of Staten Island too will try and join us this year and come up with a planning project. So next year I can stand here and say, we've covered all 5 boroughs. The community planning fellows are engaged in a variety of tasks and activities depending upon their skills and what the community boards require from them. They must work 15 hours per week for a community board. Our preference is that they work in the office of the community board. It's best for them to have a direct working relationship with their district manager, but many of them will be working on certain projects remotely from school, from their home. We really leave it up to the community planning fellows to determine with their district managers and the community board chairperson and the committee chairpersons with whom they are working, what is the best relationship. My only requirement is that they do attend community board meetings. I want the fellows to know not just what the technical issues are that they're working on, but how a community board works. And they're required to attend at least 1 full board meeting and 1 committee meeting to make sure that they have interaction with members of a community board. It's part of their educational experience. The kind of projects that they will work on are very typical for urban planning graduate students and for those of you district managers who have planning issues related to them. Mostly they talk about zoning proposals, population projections, community facilities, recommendations for housing preservation, and of course the preparation of drafts for the 197A plans. The community fellows have participated very, very much on preparation of 197A plans for community improvement, and of course for the annual district needs statement. They're very valuable to our district managers in compiling data, a lot of which you will hear from a little bit later when we talk about open data, which is also one of the programs that comes and presents information to our fellows. And our fellows are available to work on these projects. 197A plans, business improvement districts, and district needs statements seem to be some of the biggest assignments that are given to our community planning fellows. We require of them that they submit at the end of the academic year, and I have set that date as the end of April, a final report which is submitted to the community board, submitted to the chairperson, the district manager, and the committee with whom they have worked, and a final copy which includes all of their data, all their research, all their maps, which goes on the website of the Fund for the City of New York. And we have close to 140 projects that have been worked on over the past decade, all available for public view on the Community Planning Fellowship website. A very, very diverse set of studies. What is the timetable for this program? In the months of June and July, which I'm doing right now, I am soliciting students from the 5 schools I mentioned before: Hunter College, Pratt Institute, Columbia University, New York University, and the New School. I hope to have 24 fellows once again reporting to the program. In August, I will be trying to match those fellows with project priorities that you, the district manager, send to me. And you will be receiving all of the 59 community boards an email from me this weekend soliciting project proposals from you. You tell me what projects you have. You tell me the skills you want the fellows to bring with them, whether it's data collection, database creation, social research, mapping. Tell me what you want, and I'll try and match it with the fellows that the schools send to me. The program begins officially in September. I require a preliminary report in February to make sure that the fellows are on the right track, and they submit the final report to me and to you in the month of April, when the school year is officially over. Most of them are graduating. Some of them do come back for a second year, and I said some of them may want to be reassigned to the same community board in the coming year. I have included, and I'm not going to go through the whole list, but on this one-page handout that you will find at the front table, I've included a list of all of the community boards in the past year that we have had projects from the 4 boroughs, from Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, of course, I'm so sorry, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, and we have 19 completed projects, and really quick, we had projects in Bronx Community Board 4 and 5, in Brooklyn 2, in Brooklyn 4, 10, 14, 16, in Queens 1, and Manhattan we had quite a large coverage. We had Manhattan 1, we had Manhattan 2, 4, 5, 7, 10, and 11. It was a very productive year, and the word I have heard from most of our district managers is they are very pleased with the work done by the Community Planning Fellows, and by the nodding of heads in the room, I see that you will be submitting project proposals again for the coming year. So district managers, please consider when I submit an email to you requesting project proposals, please feel free to be imaginative. Tell me what projects you would like to be done by a fellow or fellows. I have on occasion submitted names of more than one fellow to community boards, and I will do my best to match talented graduating urban planning students to fulfill the needs of your community board. With that, I'm looking forward to a very successful year again. I'm looking forward to our continuing relationship with Open Data, which is a wonderful program, which has been very useful as a tool for the Community Planning Fellows as they have gone through the work throughout the year. So I look forward to hearing from all of you. If there are any questions, my contact information is on this handout. Please feel free to call me, and if you're not from a community board but you would just like further information, call me or send an email to me. I will be delighted to answer any questions you have about the Community Planning Fellowship Program of the Fund for the City of New York as it enters its 10th year. Before I turn back the podium to Noel, are there any questions that anyone has right now burning through your mind about the program, the timetable, or the nature of the work that we do? Question? None? I'm sorry.
Stacy from Do It.
Hi.
Are community boards still able to apply?
Oh, yes. The request for community board participation will go out this weekend. And so community boards will have a full month. Frankly, I can always extend the deadline until September, but there will be at least a full month for community boards to submit project proposals to me.
Okay,
And
so
I've been
that's
known
sent
to
out
accept
all
projects as
community
late as September.
That's sent to all of them?
It goes to all 59 community
Great.
boards, and it will go out this weekend. Okay, sure.
In case it isn't clear, I mean, I encourage my colleagues to apply. We've had really great experiences. But in case this isn't clear, you can submit more than one proposal, right? And
that
then
is
you'll
correct.
and then you'll do a matchmaking.
That is correct. Thank you for pointing that out. In my email, I say proposal or proposals. It can be one or more proposals for one fellow, and in some cases I have assigned 2 fellows to certain community boards if there have been 2 excellent proposals. So it can be one or more proposals. Be imaginative, be creative, tell me what your needs are, and I will do my best to match the graduate urban planning students with those needs to produce an excellent product by the end of the academic year. Okay? Thank you for your attention, and I turn it back to Noel.
So I echo the encouragement to send community boards. Please articulate your projects to Michael. That is one process for us to kind of go through and vet ideas that our program, the Civic Innovation Lab and Fellowship Program, can essentially pull from. So where their work stands on one community board, we look at those projects as opportunities to expand them and scale them into products that can then impact all 59 community boards. And so we're essentially working with each other. Our curriculum works to empower the community planning fellows and have a better understanding of how to use open data and how to use the curriculum that Emily's developed more or less to power their insights and their projects for one community board. And then we look at those problems and those projects as an opportunity for then our lab and for our fellows to kind of prototype and potentially scale that to all 59 community boards. And so we're very fortunate to have this program with such talent and such a focus on each community board. And so we really want you to apply, submit your projects. That will help both of our programs out. So, to give a little bit of framing of the BetaNYC Civic Innovation Lab and Fellowship Program, several years ago, our community, we started off as a meetup. We consider ourselves a community-based organization, and we are still activists. We helped fight with Gail to get the city's open data law. We then worked with this administration, the mayoral administration and last council leadership and several other council members to strengthen the city's open data law. And our 4 values are around the freedom to connect, the freedom to learn, the freedom to innovate, and the freedom to collaborate. And this permeates all of the work that we do, from our community events, our conferences, as well as our program. And so 3 years ago, we were presented with an opportunity. We were still trying to figure out how we would take our advocacy into action. And Gail had just become the borough president, and she was given an opportunity to take CUNY undergraduates. They came and said, well, can you develop some workshops around open data? And it was like, sure, because that's what we want to do. We'll take this opportunity as long as you realize that it's a partnership and that we will grow this program together. And over the last 3 years, it has been a fun partnership. We've been able to develop a fellowship program based upon the CUNY Service Corps, which Emily will be talking about, as well as a lab, which is also funded by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, or in partnership with the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, to be thinking about these tech tools and how we can scale them to all 59 community boards. And as of now, we are the only comprehensive program dedicated to community boards, data, and technology while training that next generation of undergraduate civic leaders. So what we've been able to do is we focus on open data tools for community boards and the general public. We have a public curriculum around classes so that way everyone is understanding the data literacy. We do this intensive training, and then we do ongoing capacity building inside of the borough president's office as well in the community board's offices. Our tactics are very simple. We want to save time, we want to save money. We want to understand what is the diversity of the 8 million plus souls in New York. We want to legitimize these different issues, and we want to supplement qualitative data. We want to empower the next generation of civic leaders, and we want to alleviate fears, uncertainty, and doubt around technology, around data, and around the design process. And so today we're announcing that we have 3 citywide tools for all community boards in all 59 community boards. The first is going to be boardstat, which is we've been prototyping here in Manhattan. The second one is BoardTrack, which Emily Goldman will be talking about. And the third is Lindsay will be talking about SLAM, our latest tool that we're debuting today. So BoardStat is a really simple visualization of 311 service requests. We've been able to do this in partnership with Microsoft Cities. We've been able, over the last 2 years, we've had a series of fellows, one fellow who's going to be with us over the summer, and it's been dedicated partnership from John Paul Farmer for the last 2 years, to get this dashboard built. We started off with a bunch of paper prototypes. We moved it into Excel. We realized that we couldn't do that. We turned to Microsoft and they said, hey, how can we do this in Excel? And they're like, you need to do this in Power BI. So we now have 5 views based upon a prototype that we developed here in Manhattan. And page 1 is a very simple visualization of the top 10 complaint types, the top descriptors, the top incident addresses, and a little map. And I also have to give many thanks to Do It and the Open Data team and Moda for helping us get through some very complicated technical issues around Socrata. So thank you very much, and all of the work that you did to get us to where we are here. For just a very simple explanation, over on the far left side, we have Aiden Avenue, 34 Aiden Street, which has had over 12,000 service requests. So on page 2, we're actually able to go into that address and see what type of service requests that this place has had. And we can actually see something that's quite interesting within 311 data. We can see that there's 2 different service requests, one that has been sunsetted, and that is around heating. The other one is heat and hot water, and there's been spikes. We're talking thousands. In 2013, there were over 3,000 service requests around heat and hot water at this one particular address. Later on in, let's see, this was 2014, so in 2015, there were 2,000. In 2016, there was 1,000. And thank goodness that this particular address had their heat and hot water addressed. Well, I mean, they got it somewhat addressed, where there were only 100 service requests for heat and hot water for the entire building in 2017, right? So we are hopefully this is a good projection, right? But this is still showing that this is a problematic address, right? This is the #1 address across the borough of Manhattan that had service requests going to it. So let's take a look at Community Board 12. So here we're in page 3. We're in Community Board 12. We're looking at all complaint types, heat and hot water, that are open, that have been from the beginning of the year. And over here with this little bubble map, we can see that there are still 20 service requests that are open at 3855 10th Avenue that are heat and hot water related. And so this is an opportunity for not only district managers, but for community board members, as well as the general public, to understand what are the problems that are happening within their community district. And we're rolling this out. So now all 5 boroughs have views to boardstat. This is we have a class. Today we're going to be launching some really cool classes. Got one more slide before we can get there. So as district managers and as agency representatives, this was a request that we got from many of district managers, and it is, we want to know what is the performance of agencies in my community board. So once again, we're in CB12. We're looking at all agencies, and this time we've selected the date range for just the beginning of the year. So we are looking at how agencies are responding to 311 service requests since the beginning of January up until now. The screenshot was done yesterday. So on average, it takes 4.4 days for agencies to close their service requests. NYPD has, since the beginning of the year, has had over 15,000 service requests in Community Board 12. HPD is right up there at nearly 15,000. We can see that there's a small group of them that are still open, and that all of the other agencies have a tremendous gap. And so what we've discovered at Service Cabinet meetings is that district managers are able to point to different agencies that are in the room and saying, what's going on? Why is it taking so long? Why is there this differential in regards to addressing our constituents' needs? So we want to show you how to do this. We can't go to all 59 community boards, so we have had our Civic Innovation Fellows come up with a bunch of videos, and I'm going to ask Nazija to come up and talk about her work.
Hi, my name is Nazija. I'm a Civic Innovation Fellow. I've been working with BetaNYC since I think September. So over the last semester, we've been working on these webinars to teach everyone how to use boardstat. And so they're available on YouTube now, and it makes boardstat really easy and accessible, so hopefully everyone can use it to be more informed. Here's a really quick clip of it. I'll move forward.
We don't have speakers.
Oh. Okay. Well, the website is at beta.nyc/boardstat, so you can access boardstat there, and there's like workshops, tutorials, everything, so that boardstat can be really easy to use. And hopefully over the coming months and over the rest of the year, we hope that community boards can use boardstat more to gain information, and we hope that we can further enhance it to include more data that's meaningful to everybody. Yeah. Should I keep playing this, or?
Well, how many videos are out there?
There's 8 right now, so one for each page, and then there's like a little introduction to tell you about boardstat and how to access it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Nazija and Ramesh are going to be continuing to work on these videos, so if you have feedback that you want to be giving them, you can email us and we'll incorporate them. And they've had do you want to talk a little bit about your fellowship experience?
I mean, yeah, I had no idea like what open data was or anything before I came here, and it's been amazing to like see how much you can learn about a community and how useful it could be. Like, I think Emily was just telling me the other day about, or maybe Lindsay, about like how people have used boardstat to see places that have been like illegally converted from like residential use into like commercial use, and that's so important in terms of like making sure that the city is still like affordable to live in, things like that. So it's been like a really great experience learning how much data is out there and how we can make it more accessible, available to guide better policy, I guess. Yeah.
I have a question. How did you learn about the program and how did you apply for this fellowship?
So I'm part, I originally, when I joined in September, I was part of this program called the CUNY Service Corps, where students from all CUNY campuses can apply for an internship over the summer. I mean, not over the summer, over the course of their school year. And so I interviewed with BetaNYC in the Manhattan President's Office, and didn't really know what the program was about completely. I just knew that it was about like civic tech and things, and I didn't really know what that meant. And after coming here, I just loved it so much. I'm staying over the summer now and hopefully through the fall as well. Yeah.
Great, thank you. How do I move on? We've been really fortunate to have some really amazing students from CUNY. And so it has been a great honor to see this undergraduate talent develop over the last few years. We'll have a few other fellows from the previous cohorts speak. But now, I want to turn this over to our second amazing tool, which is now being deployed for all 59 community boards. And I first need to do a little brief thank you, Emily Goldman, PhD, for working with this program for the last 2 years, 2+ years. She was a volunteer at the BetaNYC's leadership team. We got a small little grant to kind of grow this work. I don't think Emily really knew what she was getting involved with. I really didn't know what we were getting involved with, and so it's a great pleasure and honor to be working with Emily for the last 2 years through all of this craziness and figuring it all out. So thank you, Emily, and I would love to invite you up here to talk about our second tool.
Many familiar faces in the room, which is lovely to see. So the next tool that we're talking about is a little less flashy than boardstat, but still vital. So WordTrack is essentially an easy-to-use tool for community boards to track and calculate their members' attendance at full board and committee meetings throughout the year. So it's made in Google Sheets. There's a tab for each committee, and essentially it helps boards and district staff keep better track of this very important piece of data that they are creating for themselves. So WordTrack was actually built upon an existing attendance tool created by Community Board 11. And it was informed by in-depth research into the way Manhattan boards are going about tracking their attendance practices. Every board had their own twist on it, and we tried to standardize that. And with that, we ended up working with the legal staff here at the MBPO to work on how attendance can feature into the borough's standard bylaws. And I think that's a part of the bylaws that other boroughs will also be working on, is how to make better sense of the attendance regulations for community board members. If you're interested in this tool, it can be found on the BetaNYC website. There's a template that you can populate yourselves, or we can help you populate it with all your rosters of your committees. And there's also a customization guide for WordTrack that was developed with Community Board 3, who gave us some really in-depth user research into how to make it more useful for individual boards. So WordTrack was another project that came directly out of the fellowship program. And several of our students worked on WordTrack in its initial form. So the program gives CUNY students an opportunity to work with us here in the Borough President's Office from September to May, where they're immersed in a world of civic tech, data, and design. The program actually starts with a boot camp. As Nazija mentioned, many of them have never heard of open data. Most of them have not. We teach them how to understand New York City civics, open data analytics, and mapping. In this greater context of the civic fabric of New York City and the political and cultural context is super important for us as we teach these more technical skills, so that students are connecting between the technical work and the societal goals. And after the boot camp, they're partnered with innovation teams to explore projects for community boards. So BoardTrack came out of one of those projects. During the spring semester, a group of students helped devise the research and the tool itself. And additionally, and meanwhile, the lab goes on investigating community board workflows, and we host data literacy trainings all across the city, and we're in this co-creation process of tools for the borough president and for boards. So for the fellowship boot camp, during the first semester, we teach a variety of tools, practices, the vital data sets to our city's fabric, New York City 311, US Census data, housing data, and others. Practices like public speaking, project management, making maps, and all these technical tools here on your right side. And the program is also broken down into 7 discrete labs. So the first week is our introduction to the fellowship and to communication tools, as communication proves to be incredibly important for the fellows to develop their communication skills over the course of the year. The second is when we delve into that civics curriculum that I mentioned before, New York City's history, the political and cultural context of the civic tech and open data movement. And then we get a little more technical. We start with the building blocks of data analysis, unlocking open data with boardstat and data journeys, how to navigate the portal itself, manipulate and analyze data in spreadsheets, including the infamous pivot table, of course. And then finally we move to mapping open data and US Census data in Cardo and developing those interesting insights between neighborhood, socio-demographics, and 311 service data requests. And in their final project, they put together all of this work. They develop a presentation where they showcase their new understanding of the landscape of a community board through this lens of data and technology. So with that, I'm going to bring up one of our former fellows, Mohammed, and followed by Lester, and then I'll end and continue on.
Thank you, Emily. Hi everybody, my name is Mohammed, and I'm a graduate from John Jay. So from my past 2 years of experience at Manhattan Bar President's Office as an intern and mentor as well, I believe that it had a huge impact on me professionally and academically. I actually went from changing my career from enforcement to a data analyst, and today I'm actually working as a data analyst as of now. And I believe in doing massive research in data, and I believe that we can use it in many different ways to help our environment make it better and safer. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much.
Lester?
Well then, hello. Hello. I'm currently a student at Medgar College. I'm a junior, as you can see, and my major is CIS. That's Computer Information Systems. No, I am a former intern at BetaNYC, as I said earlier, and yes, it was a very fun experience, very challenging. And we did a lot of investigations on data and analysis, like filtering data and creating geostatistical data with platforms such as Cardo. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, so these investigations, by investigating service request data from 311 and neighborhood demographics, I now align my CIS degree, Computer Information Systems degree, to social and civic engagements regarding public concerns of the community. That is all.
Okay, great. So the last thing to mention here, which is exciting, is that this curriculum that we've been developing for the CUNY students over the past 2 years, we have distilled into a sequence of 4 live lessons that we take out into communities across the city that will level up your data literacy understanding. And we've run these several times in Manhattan and Brooklyn. We look forward to doing it again. So our classes are called 101, 102, 103, and 104. And it'll really give you kind of the full gamut of what you need to know in order to consider yourself a blossoming civic data scientist. So stay tuned for more information about how you can get these classes into your community. And with that, I'm going to pass this back to Lindsay and Noel. I think Lindsay's next.
Hi everyone, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the research programs we have at the Civic Innovation Lab. So first of all, I want to describe some of the rationale for some of the research that we've been doing within the Civic Innovation Lab. We've been doing a lot of research into community board workflows to better understand their workflows so that we can design tools that are really sensitive to their specific needs and so that we can design tools that are actually going to be useful to them. And we want to lay out these rationales because we don't want to seem like we're just showing up and saying you should just use open data in your work and completely transform the way that you're doing things. There are specific reasons why we think it's important. And the first is that we're hoping that the tools that we develop can help save community boards time and resources. We're hoping that they can help represent diverse community needs. So your boards represent a certain segment of your population. If you can look at 311 data that covers the entire portion, it might give you insights that you weren't able to see before, right? We're hoping that we can help boards legitimize their known issues. So for a lot of boards, you already know the issues in your communities, but sometimes having that data helps you back that up when you need to make a case for something. So we want to give you the data that will help you legitimize that. And finally, to supplement and not supplant qualitative data. We don't want to say that qualitative data or the insights that you get from your community are not important. We're just hoping that this quantitative data can help supplement that. So for our methodology, we've conducted 11 interviews so far with different district offices in both Manhattan and Brooklyn. And we've also administered a survey to all board members to collect data success stories and use cases. And I'll note that this survey is still open. It will be open through July 7th. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, we ask that you go to this URL, this bit.ly /beta-NYC_survey_data_stories. And this is just a very brief 5 to 10 minute survey that gives us a case in your board where you've either needed better data to help contextualize an issue or where you've been really successful at using the city's open data products to help contextualize an issue. And we'll make these responses, if we get permission, available to different community boards so that they can get this series of best practices. So we've been doing like 4 sets of research, right? First of all, we've been studying the technology needs within community boards. We've been looking into different content management systems that can be used to support community board websites. We've been looking at the information flows within community boards, and we've been trying to identify missing data sets. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about each of these now. So first of all, as we've been going through and interviewing community boards, we've been kind of analyzing some of the challenges to actually using open data within your community board, right? And we want to emphasize that this is not just a technology challenge. There are much broader challenges that need to be addressed to make this work for everyone, right? So first of all, the data could be missing or unavailable. Sometimes the categories that the data has been published in are not applicable. There's need for data literacy. There's not enough time for data work. there's not enough infrastructure for data work, and then they get broader and broader as we move out, right? Data can only be as comprehensive as the systems that collect it. So 311 data is only going to be as comprehensive as the folks that are actually calling, right? And these are challenges that we need to address and take into consideration as we're designing these data tools. And then finally, the largest challenge is that using open data in your work represents a huge cultural shift. And in order to be able to do that, we need to address not just how do we make this technology work in your organization, but also what does it mean to support that cultural change. Okay. The BetaNYC has also been conducting an office technology survey, and would you like to talk a little bit more about this, Ramesh? Ramesh is another one of our interns and a fellow with the program.
Hi everyone, I'm a little jittery, forgive me. And also forgive me for being a bit repetitive, obvious or trite, but something that's really been impressed upon me is just the sensitivity and really, designing with and not for. Just the sensitivity of the collaboration and one of BetaNYC's pillars, and I know that Noel, Emily, and Lindsay have already mentioned that, but it's one of the reasons that I get excited about doing this kind of work, even though sometimes I'm dealing with spreadsheets and it's not particularly exciting. But in a way, it can be profound with this, with that sensitivity in mind, and realizing that working in collaboration with the community boards, and again, complementing your work with this kind of quantitative work, and it's really been profound for me. So I'll start with that. For the survey, over the course of the last semester, we researched the inner workings for community boards across Manhattan. It was about an hour to 90-minute interviews with district managers and staff in 11 Manhattan community boroughs, community boards, to discuss their needs, goals, and priorities. And it can be from anything, from like day-to-day work, just internet quality, social media, tracking meeting attendance with BoardTrack, and just using the NYC Open Data Portal. Ultimately, we hope to get the all borough presidents determine a baseline of what technology, software, and hardware every district needs to just better serve your community and better serve your office. And we want to ensure that you guys have the tools, equipment, and services and trainings that you need to do your work most efficiently. That was alluded before. And over the summer, we were very excited to follow up with the boards about any of your concerns, any and all of your concerns that came out of the meetings that we've had. And we want to produce a roadmap, something tangible to guide all of us to make civic technology just better for us all. And I, again, just to reiterate, I really hope that this complements, and I believe that it will. And that's it.
Okay, we've also been talking with DoIt, who's here today, about designing WordPress for community boards. So the fellows surveyed all 59 community board websites, and they worked to outline feature requirements and recommended plugins. And then we got in touch with DoIt's GovLab team, who has built a WordPress theme around our recommendations, and they're currently working with Manhattan boards to see to test that out. So if you have more questions about that, you can talk to the folks at DoIt here today. Okay, so some of the things that we've identified as potential tools in order to, based on the research that we've been doing. So one of the things that we found, actually, I'm glad Josh Thompson is here from Community Board 2, because based on the interviews we've had with them, we found out that there's been a lot of issues about accessing data about after-hours variances so that you can track the saturation of after-hours variances within certain locations over time, and answer certain questions about that data set. So right now, accessing that data is very cumbersome, and I'm just going to give you a brief example. If you go to, the only way to do this is to look up a specific address on the BizWeb website. So here I looked up the address 770 Broadway, which I know based on the tool has 200 after-hours variances that have been awarded to it since 2011. I click on this link at the bottom. It will take a little while to load, so just give it a second. There we go. Now, in order to have this information about after-hours variances, I would have to click on each and every one of these entries. Okay, this goes on for, I think, about 4 pages for this particular address. So what we did was we built a script that would allow us to take the bin for every single building within Community Board 2 and automatically fill out this form and collect the data from it. So based on that, we've created a series of visualizations that will give you some insight into some of the things that are going on with after-hours variances. And I'm just going to show you really quickly for Community District 2, since that's where we got the original request. And I'll note that it takes quite a while to run this script. We've only run it for Community Districts 1 and 2. And because this is not a sustainable thing to run a scraping script like this, we've actually helped create a letter that was sent to the Department of Buildings requesting that this data be released to the public. So if you look at this chart right here, you'll see that these are the after-hours variances that have been awarded by according to BIN. So this is 770 Broadway, right? You see that there have been 200 after-hours variances. By scrolling down on the date, it will filter to both maps, and the left will show you the number of noise complaints that have been made in those same locations. The second page is, I think, one of the more important pages. Let's just go for the past year, about year, right there. So clicking on any one of these bins will tell you how many times a person that applied for an after-hours variance at that location answered the question, is this a residence within 200 feet, is this site within 200 feet of a residence, how they responded to it, and how many times. So for this particular bin, since 2017, there's been 103 after-hours variances awarded to this building. Of those 103 for this building, 81 of the applicants said yes, it's within 200 feet of a residence, and 22 said no, it's not within 200 feet of a residence, which is obviously not possible. So clicking on any of these, you can get the names of the different businesses that actually answered that particular question in that way. The other views will give you more information about which businesses are applying for after-hours variances in the district, as well as for what reasons they're being awarded. So this, again, like I said, is available on the BetaNYC website for Community Districts 1 and 2. The second tool that I'm going to tell you about today, which we are officially launching today and is now available for all boroughs across the city, is called the SLAMapper, or SLAM. And this was based on a request that we got from Community Board 12, who told us that the most time-consuming aspect of their work was gathering all the information that was needed to review a liquor license. So we've basically put a lot of that information all on one website. And I'm going to show you two addresses today. I'm going to show you one up in Community District 12 in Manhattan, where we originally got this request, and then I'm going to show you one in Brooklyn. So if we scroll all the way up. Okay, so when we were interviewing Community District 12, they specifically mentioned one restaurant called Mama Juana, which, what was that? Okay, can we see it now? Okay, all right, so Mama Juana is up here in this top corner. We can see that they have a liquor license expiring on June 30th, 2018. This information is actually pulled from the State Liquor Authority website, and that is only updated quarterly. So unfortunately, this probably has already gotten their license renewed, and it's not showing up as renewed on this website just yet, just because this is the most up-to-date data we can get. But if you want more information about this renewal, you can click here, and it will link you directly to the license website for that liquor license. Okay. In addition to that, we can see that this is the number of noise complaints that have been made since 2017. So these are just displaying noise complaints since 2017. If I click on any of these, I can find out what the descriptors for those are. So here we'll see there's been 50 noise complaints made since 2017, all for loud music and party. And we can see the breakdown by year, 22 in 2017 and 28 in 2018. There's also been a sidewalk cafe permit awarded to Mama Juana. So clicking on that, I can get the information about the sidewalk cafe, the fact that the license is currently active, its license number, it has 822 square feet, 44 tables and 89 chairs, and I can also find out what happened with the community board's review process here. So community board 12, the review period expired, so they never actually had a chance to hold a hearing on this particular sidewalk cafe. Clicking on this link will bring you to the map that was developed by the DCA to show these sidewalk cafes. I can also get the last piece of information on here is the restaurant health grades for all of the different restaurants throughout the city. So clicking on this map right here, this little flag, will bring up the current grade for Mama Joanna Cafe, which is an A as of May 30th, 2018, and then the grade history. So we can see that in 2018 it went from a B to an A. It was formerly at a C, and before that it had a B. So all of this information about restaurants, unfortunately it has to be manually geocoded, so this is only updated weekly. Other than that, all the other information is updated as quickly as the data is updated. Okay? Yes?
Does this information also include whether or not the restaurant is certified with the government?
Say that again?
Certified with the government, like MWBEs, if they're registered like in that kind of way, or?
So all of this data is being pulled directly from the DOHMH restaurant data. So anything that is in that data set is appearing on this particular map, unless it has been, somehow the geocoder rejected the address. So if the address was not entered correctly into the data set, it's not showing up here. These are the most categorizations. We have it broken down by right now, but we would love your feedback about different categorizations that you would like to see within this, other pieces of information that you'd like to see on these dashboards. For instance, not just in regards to the restaurant inspection results, but also the liquor licenses are currently only showing on-premises liquor license. If you're dealing with other types of liquor licenses that you'd like to see on the map, we'd like to know that. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. That is all for this tool.
Great. All right. So that's just a kind of like what we've been able to do over the last few years. So, you know, for our numbers, we've been able, we're nowhere near the amazing number that the community planning fellows have been doing for the last decade. But we've been able to successfully do 40 undergraduates. We're looking to do an additional 10 this upcoming year. We've been able to do 200 so far community board members and district office staff. All of the curriculum that Emily Goldman was describing is now available on BetaNYC's website. And so we actually want to be working with the council members that are in the room, that are here, and the community board offices. We want to be able to take this curriculum and we want to work with you to host trainings in your district. We want to see these tools used by your community members, by your community boards. And so, you know, please come approach us. We have a grant that essentially lasts until October from the Sloan Foundation, and one of our objectives is to get these trainings out the door. So we need your help to essentially ship. And if you're a council member, we have a discretionary fund request in to get these trainings out there. Lastly, we've been able to show you that boardstat, WordTrack, and SLAM are now available for the whole city. We do have this open data curriculum that our undergraduates take, which is 100 pages. We're going to be updating that for this next year based upon the changes in some of these tools. We've been able to do a gap analysis. We've been doing this technology census, so we want to help you have a better understanding for the district needs process, which is going to be coming up. We're going to be working with OMB and planning to ensure that there's a framework in place, whether it's in the existing form or whether it's a new field. We're going to make sure that our insights and the work that we've been doing with Manhattan Community Boards is going to give you a framework to fill out that district needs statement, so that way you have the appropriate tools and resources within your community district. And lastly, we've been working on this workflow. We really think that this is an important research that is only really being done in too few locations. You know, if you have not been approached by us we're happy to have you in the room right now, and we want to be able to come out and have a better understanding of the work that you're doing in your office, so that way we can be thinking about how these different tools can scale to you. And please, 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 if I could get down on my knees, please, if you're a community board office and you want to move off of TeamSite, which we highly recommend that you do, please engage with the Do It team, which is over here. We've been working with them. It's really important. I cannot begin to tell you how important it is to make sure that we have community board websites that are built on 21st century technology. They are willing to figure out how to get you from TeamSite to WordPress, but we don't have the resources to essentially engage in that conversation. They do. They're the experts. They're willing to figure out how to get community boards with modern websites. We really need it broadly. We really need community boards to have modern websites. So please engage with them. We love them. We encourage you to love them as well. And then, so yeah, we're like at kind of the time where we're starting to do Q&A. But if you have to leave, there's a sign-in sheet that's on the that you came in with. There's 4 check boxes on that sign-in sheet. So if you have to leave now and you want us to follow up with you, please make sure that your email address and your telephone number are legible, and then check off those little boxes so that way we can follow up with you. So thank you. If you have to leave, thank you. Thank you, community boards, for coming across the city to be here. Thank you, agencies who were staying a little bit later. Thank you for agencies who are coming. It's really, really appreciated. We want to keep on doing this work, and now we want to move to questions. And I saw that we had a question from Northern Manhattan.
So, to just expound on your last point, why is it important that folks move off of the ancient website?
So, great question, Ken. Why is it important? This is for the video. Why is it important to move to a modern content management system? One is that all of the tools that we were able to produce, that Lindsay was showing you, the way that we're tracking attendance is around structured data, right? And if we don't have structured data, we can't build cool things, right? We're able to build these 311 dashboards based upon the fact that 311 has spent a decade making sure that their data is structured, it's automated, it's clean, and it's resourceful. If community boards are not doing that with their events, if they're not doing that with the resolutions that they're putting up there, the agendas that they're putting up there, it does a disservice for the 21st century, because we cannot see what's going on within those different activities, particularly events. We know that Link NYC has a form that's requesting events to be posted on the Link NYC thing, so that way those things end up on the links. We know that there's a whole process, there's a disconnected and convoluted, well, not really convoluted, but a super simplistic process for getting events in the city record. And we actually want to say, stop posting that in those different locations, right? Why do you need to continue to do TeamSite, Link, and the city record? Let's just come up with one location, which is your website, where you own the information, and just make it as structured and as clean, and that way that can then pipe out to all these other things.
I have a question about the data analysis training that goes on in the fellowship. Is it all descriptive analysis, or is there any like multiple regression or causal analysis that's taught in the lab?
Yeah, there is not any regression analysis taught. It's purely descriptive statistics at this point.
Is there possibly a way to get that data into a platform that could feed into SPSS or programs that could run that analysis?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of work in the lab with R, which is a statistical package that requires a little bit more coding. That is open source, which makes it really easy to kind of access and use. It would be interesting to build out components of that into a data science curriculum almost.
Can I ask another one?
Yeah.
Also, let us know when DOB gets back to you. And I wonder if it might actually be a worthwhile budget request to agencies that we support their endeavors to provide data. So if that's something that you identify as a need, or if that's some of the pushback that you get, if it's budget driven, I think it might be worthwhile to let boards know as we enter our budget season.
Is the biz data not available through the open data portal at all?
Not after hours variances. So you can get permits,
Yeah.
construction permits
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
After hours variances is just not in
just
those any of those data sets.
Okay, well, I'll take that under advisement too.
I mean, these are also the things, that type of research we hope to ensure it gets into your district needs statement, so that way when you have, you want this data, you can start making the demands for the type of data that we would like to see within that district needs statement.
The letter that Borough President sent out to DOB regarding the lack of the after-hours variance data on the open data portal, is that posted on your website so we can take a look in case CD1 wants to crib some of that information for a resolution to also support having more open data sets that should be required by are required by law?
We can make that available. I mean, we have yet to post all of the letters, but Gail has asked us to be sharing that with others. Bless you. And so we can post those letters out.
It's a little difficult to imagine, that if it's publicly available via a website, it shouldn't have been posted as one of the open data sets. So we'll follow up on that too.
Hi, from Community Board 10. I just want to say thank you for this today. I'm one of those boards too. I would love to have a WordPress website. We have a terrible time dealing with the current website, so we appreciate working. I just had a question about your advocacy for 311 data, and has there ever been an effort to get 911 data added to the open data portal? We would find that very helpful at Board 10, and recently we've had great difficulty getting 911 data. So I'm just curious if that's ever been an effort, and if you ever strive to obtain that data within open data.
BetaNYC has worked with the New York City Transparency Working Group, which is a coalition of good government groups, to get the city's open data law passed. 911 data has been a third rail of sorts. There are other municipalities, other governments that are doing a really good job of sharing emergency call information in a way that protects the caller's privacy and kind of the situations that are going around there. We have yet to find NYPD responsive to the best practices that others have developed that have ensured people's privacy and bring those same issues to New York. And so it is a request that has been put out there, but the time and effort it takes to get NYPD to change their practices has been glacial or insurmountable. And so if community boards are, we can work with you to get you the recommendation of best practices to try to get that information. And there's a lot of bad public safety information data that's out there, bad in the way that it's done, that when we do our classes, people complain about using the NYPD crime map because it doesn't provide a lot of information, or the fact that the user interface is not very specific enough to provide information about public safety. And that's one area that we can definitely work with community boards to articulate a better ask. Yes?
I know I've asked this before, but the crash data that we get is very incomplete. And I know it gets sent up to the state and then it comes back, but if there's a way to get better crash data, so if we know a particular incident and the time, we can go to the police department, they can get us the information, but it's very labor intensive for them and for us. So any way that it could help, we might know that Broadway and 97th Street has had 12 crashes, but we don't know which direction the cars were going in. We don't know, so we can't work with DOT to make it correct.
Yeah, so this is another connection to the public safety issue in regards to NYPD. One of the reasons why we want to work with community boards is because you are not only representative of the public voice, but you're also a government agency, right? So you have the responsibility to walk between those two worlds. And so we would really love to work with community boards across the board to identify what are the public safety data sets that NYPD has been reluctant to improve. I'm a cyclist, and I know that the whole conversation around crash information, NYPD more or less said that we, the public, needed to pay a few $1 billion to make sure that they all had smartphone tablets, so that way the data could be validated. That has been long in the tooth, and so we'd love to work with you to figure out how to get through public safety. Do you want to address something specific to that?
Traffic stat, which is already online. If you drill down, you can get a spreadsheet of an analysis of the collisions in detail. So I would suggest that you look at that, and that's done every week. It's similar to CompStat, but you can be more specific, and it's archived.
Does it do the directions as Roberta was talking about? Does?
We haven't found it very satisfactory.
It's changed, but you should look at the spreadsheets that it generates, and
Yeah,
you'll
we
get
do.
more information from that.
We
In
do.
addition,
Okay.
If you go to your CEO and their traffic director,
We-
they can help you get more.
Well, yeah, we'd love to articulate better public safety data, period, and make sure that we protect people's privacy, as well as that we can get some information that can help you make better decisions. I think we had one question there, and then we'll work our way over.
Yeah, I was curious if the findings of your surveys, if those are available for us to look at, if we want to do as community boards, just to sort of get a sense of what else is, where we share, where our responses were similar and different, and just to
Absolutely.
identify ourselves.
So the survey is going to be open till July 7th. At that point, we're going to take all of the use cases and all the success stories. We have a question in there about whether people are comfortable with making it public. So those that have designated that they're comfortable making it public, we will compile into a sort of like scrapbook, I guess, of data stories that we will make public and share. In addition to that, all the research that we've done with the different community board district managers, we're compiling into a report, which we will make available probably by the end of July.
Yeah, and we have preliminary reports also from the surveys that we've done with websites, so that way that's publicly available, that we've shared with Do It and that we've shared with the Manhattan Borough President. We did an initial survey that's already a report that's on the Manhattan Borough President's website that gives you a picture, and then Emily and I are going to be working on the technology survey to figure out how we can publish that and insights into that as an overall, as an update to the original document that we did in 2015. I'm going to go to some other people who haven't asked questions yet. So, yeah, the two of you.
Thank you for the advocacy, and also thank you for building out the tools for everyone who's involved with that. And along the ways of accessing more data, is there a way of getting more DOT specific data, MTA data, as far as traffic flows and different kinds of things, and in lieu of that, perhaps reaching out to Google and getting some of their historical information on traffic as well? That seems to be a problem in general. It seems to be opening up usable data.
How we have worked with the Manhattan Borough President's Office is that we've done kind of like the technical survey, find some best practices, find out what are the things that are missing from the data set when finding improvements, outlining opportunities for improvement. Emily and Lindsay, correct me, we've done this for NYCHA. What are the other agencies, that state agencies and city agencies that we've helped them send letters with? NYCHA, DOB.
DOT on pedestrian counts, and then at the state level, the Department of Licensing Services, making sure that they geocode the information that they make available on their website.
And then that's it. So if you have very specifics that we can help get the borough president to write and articulate, we will then help amplify that. Community boards can also be passing their own resolutions around different data sets. We'd love to help you articulate what that resolution looks like. In regards to Google, that's a very interesting question. So I'm going to...
I have a couple questions. First of all, thank you. The first question I have is about the community class, the BetaNYC training.
Emily, do you want to talk about the classes a little bit?
So the way to get those classes out to your board or to your borough would be to start the conversation by sending us an email and saying that you'd like to schedule one. We've done it in Brooklyn and various parts of Manhattan so far. Would love an opportunity to come to the Bronx and do it as well. So just send us an email, let us know that that's something you're interested in. If you wanted to access the written materials that already exist, those are available on our website in two different forms. One is like this 100-page workbook that was developed for the students. The second are these discrete lessons. But in terms of having like a live lesson coming out there and doing it with you, just let us know that you want to do it, and we don't have a formal process for that yet.
And is your email provided on?
Yeah, CIF at beta.nyc goes to all of us. All of our curriculum is while we retain legal copyright, it's all licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike. And so we have all 4 of our classes under our products page on the BetaNYC website, so that way you can get a kind of a peek. We've been able to successfully deploy 101 and 102 pretty consistently across the Manhattan, and then we also did an introductory training in Brooklyn for 102. But now that boardstat is scalable out to all 5 boroughs, those 2 classes are super accessible. You can almost kind of do them well, you can really do 102 in the Bronx almost without us, but we'd love to come up and work with you. And then we just published links to 103 and 104 as beta links on this page. But our products page, our classes, the fundamentals of open data, are a place that you can see. What we really need is a room that can host about 20 to 30 people. If we're doing class 102, 103, or 104, we need tables and chairs and internet, preferably high-speed internet. We're going to be asking people to be bringing their laptops and Windows Surface devices. Some of the tools that we are using are more designed for larger operating systems, not the mini operating systems, i.e. Android and iOS. So we're going to be asking for people to bring out their laptops and their Windows Surface devices, and then we can give you and deploy that type of class. But we need electricity, we need a large monitor, we need internet access, we need tables and chairs, and yeah, hopefully in an accessible venue that we can do this class up to about 20 or 30 people.
Cool. And I have one more question for the Do It team. The WordPress theme, is that only for Manhattan, or can that expand? So we actually built a website on WordPress, but it's not consistent with the rest of the community boards, and I think that we would be interested in. None of us are experienced in it, so I think we're interested in getting a theme that would be able to convey information in Max that we weren't able to do.
Well, we're in the process of building a standard theme that people can use if you want. We have built our first site. We did an experiment, took an entire community board, all of their content, put it in the new format to see what the lift was going to be like. So it's in its preliminary phases. We are currently doing usability testing on it, and we're refining that model. Our plans are to release the community board theme for use by anyone who wants to, but we are not there yet.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, we have 5 minutes left in questioning. So does anybody who hasn't asked a question have their hand? Otherwise, we'll go to our repeat customers. Great, repeat customer.
What is, in terms of, this is a hardware and technology question, specifically live streaming and video, what have you been doing in that? And it's probably a slow process, but closely, so is there an update on that as well?
We
That's
in
live streaming the meetings.
yeah. So in our first year of engagement with the Borough President's Office, we documented what are the resources that community boards have, and that there's a massive divergence of resources that community boards have dedicated to live streaming. We've also documented the places that they've been meeting in, the internet access, and have demonstrated through our initial survey and then our follow-up survey that was done, this technology survey census, that those accessibility issues are still problematic. We've written some guidelines that the Borough President's Office is essentially pushing out to Manhattan community boards around the types of infrastructure that should be at those different types of meetings. The meeting that was held here beforehand was talking about a listing, if I'm not mistaken, other board members, but there's going to be a listing of venues that will have kind of like this minimum level of requirement for Manhattan. Correct? Yes? No? Yeah? I heard that there was interns were going to be researching venues that have that type of capability, or at least working with boards to help document venues with that capability. When it comes down to hardware and software, we've yet to kind of write the playbook or kind of like the different books, but you've got this whole little suite of people that are doing some really amazing things with live stream or recording their videos, sessions.
Interns are going to be helping to look for just spaces at all where people can meet. The capabilities that would be required for live streaming, not necessarily.
The accessibility they're talking about was actually like handicap accessible locations that where people can actually get into the facility, which is a problem that the community boards are having.
The largest impediment to community boards reliably live streaming their meetings is that effectively we don't have committed spaces where we know technology will be working, where we know there'll be Wi-Fi. So that's the biggest impediment. And it's an issue that at least I have been asking for officials in the city to be looking at community boards need dedicated space so that we can do things like that.
Thank you.
Right, Roberta.
We live stream with we have a little camera and computer, and most places have good Wi-Fi, but we've had a couple of full board meetings where the Wi-Fi was just very iffy. We do call ahead to find out if we can set it up, but you know we're stuck to where we can meet.
Yeah. So this is really like it's a foundational issue. So maybe in the second decade of the 21st century we'll be able to do the live streaming, but at least we'll have consistent venues first. And then we'll be able to record them, and then we'll be able to live stream them. Okay, 1 minute left. Any last final parting questions? Great. So once again, I want to give out some thank yous. First of all, Borough President Gail Brewer, Borough President Adams, who have helped make sure that we were communicating out to all of the different boards. If you received an email from your borough president beyond these two, please let us know because we'd like to send them a thank you note. Councilmember Koo, who's been instrumental in also giving us some funds this year for helping make sure that we're getting out there and communicating with the city council members' offices that were around the table. So thank you, Councilmember Koo. CUNY Service Corps, NYC Community Boards broadly, the Fund for the City of New York, the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, Microsoft Cities, and Cardo, who have been giving us grants for technology, and Microsoft Cities, who's been giving us also an individual. And then lastly, the city's open data team and DoIT's GovLab for all of the instrumental work and partnership that you've been helping with BetaNYC. Michael, do you want to give any thanks to any?
No, again, thank you for the partnership we have established with Open Data. I think it's fantastic. It's a great tool for our community planning fellows to use, and I look forward to our working together over the next 2 years.
Great. And Emily, thank you. Lindsay, thank you. Fellows, thank you. Thank all of you for coming. So please.